Okay, this is my what if episode 6. Yeah, I'll be talking about what would have happened if Kenji Mutoh never took over Old Japan, or never went to Old Japan Pro Wrestling. Um, or the way I'll interpret that question is Kenji Mutoh never made the full jump to Old Japan Pro Wrestling, because it wasn't really when he originally went to Old Japan. It was New Japan who sent him. They said, "Hey, go over here and do a co-promotion with Old Japan." He was never really a part of Old Japan's roster. He was just there to do the co-promotional feud. So let's say he never took over, and he just went back to New Japan. He would have just gone back to New Japan, and maybe he wouldn't have won the Triple Crown, or he would have won the Triple Crown, I think, at least once in the co-promotional thing. But he would have gone back to New Japan and continued with New Japan, and they'd be in the same position they are now. Maybe not so bad because they had Mutoh, but maybe just as bad, maybe worse. I can't really tell, and that's not the question. But what would have happened if Mutoh never took over? You would have seen Tenryu take over, because he was the second. Giant Barber's wife, who was running it at the time, Tenryu had already run Pro Wrestling War, or Wrestle Association. Originally it was called War and Romance. But yeah, he already ran War, and he folded War because it was going out of business anyway, and went to Old Japan Pro Wrestling and took the guys from it with him. And I think he wanted, and I'm not sure about this, but I've heard that Tenryu wanted to take over Old Japan Pro Wrestling, and run it, and take over for Giant Barber, and I think if he'd had done that and he'd gotten control of Old Japan Pro Wrestling, it may have been in a better position than it is now, because you would have still had Mutoh. Mutoh, he would have still come in and helped them out. And but he wouldn't have stayed for long, because he would have gone back to New Japan. Anyway, you would have seen, because Old Japan, since Mutoh's taken over, has gone more in the way of entertainment-based wrestling, or sports entertainment, and they do co-promotion with Hustle. I mean, Tenryu's involved with Hustle as well, but if you look at his War promotion, it was pure wrestling based. It was like Old Japan Pro Wrestling was in the 80s and 90s. It was all about athletic competition and things like that. And since Old Japan's been taken over by Mutoh, it's gone in more of a direction of entertainment. There's lots of comedy matches, and there's still good wrestling, but good wrestling. I'm not going to say great, because it isn't. But had Tenryu taken over, I think it would have been better for the company, because he'd already run Pro Wrestling War for years. And what the problem with War is he just was, because War was his promotion. He was the biggest star in War, and everyone knew that he was always going to win, because the way it worked was there was War, then there was there was War, and Tenryu was always the top guy. There was no championship belt, but Tenryu was always the top guy, and then you had everyone else underneath him, and they didn't really matter, because War was based around Tenryu. And you would have people from other companies like WWF, when they did co-promotion, New Japan Pro Wrestling, like Hashimoto and Mutoh, and they would come in and job to Tenryu, because once again, War was his promotion, and in turn he would go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and he'd wrestle a match for them where he would do the job. So if you had Tenryu take over, he would have had Kawada, and he would have had some New Japan guys who were just as big as he was, and maybe even more popular. But he would have had more draws. And see, the War fans, as I was trying to say before, they sort of stopped paying so much attention, because they knew what was going to happen. But with Tenryu running War, running Old Japan Pro Wrestling, he would have been able to. He still would have given himself the title, because he knew he was the biggest draw and all that, and he'd still be there today. Well, not biggest draw, but he'd be one of the big draws. So he pretty much deserves the title, and he can put on good matches. I mean, he was like 50 fucking years old when he put on Match of the Year in 2001 in Old Japan with Mutoh. But Tenryu would have kept it a more Old Japan in the 90s, or pure athletic competition based. And I think that would have been better for business, because if you look at all the promotions in Japan now, a lot of them aren't doing as well as they should be. I mean, it's gradually getting better for them, but the promotion which really took off and went straight to the front and got, is the most popular now and all that, is Pro Wrestling Noah. And the reason for that is because it's still the King Road sort of promotion. That it's a carry-on from Old Japan Pro Wrestling, and it's one of the promotions which has kept the same sort of thing that was going on in the 90s, which was the pure wrestling, not so much sports entertainment, because you got Hustle. A lot of promotions in Japan are doing sports entertainment, like New Japan, Hustle, Old Japan, a lot of the smaller promotions. So if Old Japan, it's kept doing what Old Japan did in the 90s the best, they probably would have kept a lot of their popularity. Things wouldn't have gone downhill as fast as it did. And this is just my opinion, but I mean, just look at Noah. It kept that pure wrestling thing, and it stayed, and it's probably the top promotion right now, because New Japan Pro Wrestling's on a decline. Or Ukes is going to sell it because it's not making them enough money, and Noah's doing better, and business has been better than ever for Noah. As a whole, that is. So really, the promotion which stayed as loyal to the King's Road or Old Japan style has become the number one promotion in Japan. Whereas, hold on, the cat wants out. I'm still here. I think you can still hear me. Oh yeah, you would be able to. That was fucking stupid. Anyway, the promotion which still did that King's Road style stayed number one. So if Old Japan had kept that style, and they would have done that with Tenryu taking over, they may have kept a fan base, and fans would have stayed interested, and wouldn't have turned to Noah or turned to MMA. And so that's my opinion. If Mutoh didn't take over Old Japan Pro Wrestling, Tenryu would have, and business probably would have been better. And as I think I've said, Tenryu had experience running a promotion. Sure, War went out of business, but it can't really be entirely blamed on him. But he has more experience than Mutoh does, so it would have been better. And I'll say this again, check out my last video, because I just did it before, so it's not going to come up in the subscription. Check that out. I'll put a link to it, that side or that side, who fucking knows. Hope you enjoy it.